Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians. To ensure immediate implementation and releases of all funds needed by security agencies in order to combat the insurgents.
Against the backdrop of rising cases of banditry and kidnappings, Senate again calls for adequate funding of military operations. And the Red Chamber of the National Assembly restates commitment to support the manufacturing sector of the economy. Hello and welcome to Inside the Senate, your window into the activities of the Red Chamber at the National Assembly. I am Aisha Mohammed Ahmed, your anchor. Last week, the Senate hosted the full representation of the nation's security system. The discussion with the security chiefs and other stakeholders was in a bid to interact and come up with lasting solutions to the nation's security challenges. Details of these, alongside a summary of plenary proceedings, make up a major part of the program. We also have reports of courtesy visits to the office of the Senate President, details of which will also be coming your way in the course of the program. Do stay tuned.
We are fighting for this democracy. This country will definitely improve in terms of developmental progress.
Nigerians deserve better living.
What is the executive and the legislature, they are going to put in their best for a better Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. The Senate on Tuesday, 13 February 2024, hosted the nation's security chiefs as well as the ministers in charge of the nation's security architecture last week in comprehensive session to deliberate on the current security situation in the nation. Present were Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, Director General of Department of State Services Yusuf Bichi, and the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. Others were Ministers of Defense Abubakar Badaru, Minister of State for Defense Bello Matawalle, Minister of Police Affairs Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, Minister of State for Police Affairs Iman Ibrahim, Minister of Interior Honorable Olubumi Tunji-Ojo, Minister of Finance Olawale Edun, and Director General of National Intelligence Agency Ahmed Rufai Abubakar. Senate President Godswill Akpabio welcomed the guests to the chamber.
Basically, the Senate decided to take this option for us to have this interaction because of the various petitions that we have received from our constituents. And as part of our major oversight function, we decided to do this through Committee of the Whole. And so it's because of the need for us to hear directly from you, and then from there we can also brief the people. If there is any need for any cause for alarm, if there is no cause for alarm, we'll also know. And if there is anything you want the National Assembly, the Senate to do, we'll do so working closely with our partners in the House of Representatives.
The interactions, however, held behind closed doors, lasting about 8 hours from around 12:50 p.m. to around 8:40 p.m., after which plenary resumed. Senate President Akpabio gave a recap of the closed-door session.
The Senate listened to the comprehensive briefings by the National Security Advisor and briefings from the security chiefs on the state of the nation, particularly the state of security and insecurity, including reported issues of killings, kidnappings, and other criminal activities currently bedeviling the nation. The Senate then stressed the urgent need for the security agencies to adopt proper synergy in their operations to tackle the insecurity in the country.
According to Senator Akpabio, The Senate also recommended intelligence sharing among security agencies. He also expressed satisfaction over the progress achieved by the security agencies so far.
The Senate was impressed that almost 90% of perpetrators of heinous crimes in the country, including the ones recently reported in Buhari, in Abuja, have been apprehended, and many of them are already in detention to face the wrath of the law. The Senate also listened to various efforts made in areas that suffered serious insecurities in Plateau State, in Benue State, in Taraba State, in Zamfara State, in Nasarawa State, also in Katsina State, Kaduna and other places, and also in Anambra State, and also listen to briefs from security agents and security chiefs on the efforts being made on those specific instances. The Senate was impressed with their determination and focus, but the Senate urges them to do more to ensure total security of lives and properties in the nation.
While reiterating the commitment of the federal government to ensuring the safety of lives and property of Nigerians, the Senate urged the immediate release of the required funds for military operations in the country.
The executive arm of government has been making a lot of efforts in the security sector through the procurement process of new equipment, including technology, to combat various insurgencies in the country. The Senate also pointed out that yes, appropriations have been made and releases made, but the Senate urges the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, who himself also gave briefing, to ensure immediate implementation and releases of all funds needed by security agencies in order to combat the insurgents, and also procure equipment to fight the insurgents and banditry in the nation to keep Nigeria safe.
In conclusion, the Senate commended the officers and men of the armed forces and others who have contributed in one way or the other to the safety of the nation.
The Senate also commended or commends the security chiefs for their efforts so far, and particularly our men and women in uniform, and the leaders of various communities who, even in the face of difficulties, pay supreme sacrifice in order to ensure that they keep their various communities safe. The Senate is hopeful that the suggestions made to the security chiefs and the interactions so far will help to bring about a better Nigeria and a more secure nation, and urges them to go with all the suggestions made here and the revelations received here, use them as template for future actions.
The security heads and economic team were permitted to take their leave soon after marking the end of the interaction. Let's take a break here to open the Senate notebook. Please don't go away.
Constituency projects are developmental activities aimed at bringing the dividends of democracy by the federal and state governments to the doorstep of the constituents. They are awarded, financed and executed by the relevant agencies of the executive arm of government, with the elected representatives of the people in the national and state assemblies playing only the role of identifying projects most relevant to the need of their constituents. By extension, the legislators have no direct control over the financing of constituency projects. The role they play is to ensure that what they have identified as the need of their constituents are properly executed for their benefits.
Welcome back. Still on activities from last week's plenary, the Senate attended to some executive communication from the President as well as bills and motions. Let's take a summary of plenary activities in our next report as compiled and presented from our studio. Keep watching.
The first correspondence that I have from Mr. President.
The Senate, during plenary in the week under review, received a letter from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu requesting the confirmation of the appointment of Dr. Kelechi Ohere as the Director General, National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA. The request was referred to the Senate Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary Institutions to revert to the Senate within 1 week. Another letter from President Tinubu was on the confirmation of appointment of chairman and members of the National Hajj Commission, NACON, in which the President sought the confirmation of Jalal Ahmed Arabi as the chairman of NACON. Others to be confirmed as members include Aliu Abdulrazak, Commissioner Policy, Personnel and Finance, Prince Onofi Elegushi, Commissioner Operations, Professor Abubakar Yakawa, Commissioner Planning and Research.
The demise of Chief Herbert.
Away from executive communication, Senator Onyeso Allwell Hiacho of Rivers East Senatorial District rose under personal explanation on Wednesday, 14 February 2024, to announce the demise of the Group Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings, Herbert Wigwe, his wife and son, and a friend of his who died in a helicopter crash in California, USA on Friday, 9th February 2024.
The late Chief Herbert was born on the 15th August 1966 in Oyo State to the family of Pastor Shingle Wigwe of Ikwere Local Government Area of Rivers State, Nigeria. He had his primary and secondary education in Ibadan and then went on to Federal Government College, Sokoto, and later attended Federal Government College, Warri, Delta State, where he finished his secondary education in 1982.
Prayers in the motion were for the Senate to observe a minute's silence in honor of the departed banking sector mogul, send a delegation of the Senate to attend the burial of the deceased and commiserate with his family, the people and government of Rivers State, call on the U.S. government and its agencies in conjunction with the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the causes of the unfortunate tragedy and publicly disclose the findings. Some lawmakers contributed to the motion.
Ms. Herbert came to my private residence, and on that fateful day, my uncles came in from our village. When he interacted with them, he asked me, what can he do for them? I said, I will ask them. And they said, what they want from him is his support for themselves and their disciples to go on holy pilgrimage. And Herbert, a Christian, gave them 10 Hajj seats on the spot and paid for them to go on holy pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia. That was Herbert we gave for you.
The first time I came, or I had contact with him, was in Kano, when the state government then, under Dr. Abdullah Umar Ganduzi, launched an appeal fund for the development of schools or the education sector in Kano State then. He was the chief launcher. And he did very well by making a handsome donation of large sum of money for that cause.
The people employed and put food on their tables. The university built for people to have education. And generally, his conduct during life will never be forgotten. And for those of Tambua and others who went to school with him in Federal Government College Sokoto, and then even those of us from other federal government colleges, like I went to Federal Government College Port Harcourt, we mourn the loss of a great Nigerian because we are thought to be Nigerians and not to be detribalized. And that is the way we were brought up when we were young, from the age of 9. And that is how we are. And how I wish that kind of education had continued. By today, the educated class in Nigeria would not know anything about tribalism. So I want to join you to say that may their souls rest in peace. And we cannot question God, but may God grant the families of the departed the fortitude to bear this great loss.
The motion was voted on and adopted, after which the Senate observed a minute's silence in honor of the late bank executive.
Rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Moving on to bills, the House considered some bills for first reading. They include Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Bamidele Michael Opeyemi, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control NAFDAC Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Banigo Ipalibo Hari, Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Musa Muhammad Sani, Integrated Rural Development Agency Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Saliu Mustafa, Proceeds of Crime Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Adebule Idiat Oluranti. Earlier in the week, 3 new senators were sworn in on the floor of the Senate by the clerk of the upper chamber. They include Senator Anthony Ani, representing Ebonyi South, Senator Musa Mustafa, representing Yobe East, and Senator Pam Dachung Yang, representing Plateau North. The senators were declared winners of the various rerun and by-elections conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) about 3 weeks ago.
You're still watching Inside the Senate, your window into the activities of the Red Chamber at the National Assembly. On Wednesday, 14th February 2024, Senate President Godswill Akpabio pledged the support of the National Assembly to make the manufacturing industry in Nigeria flourish. The Senate President made the pledge when the executives of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria paid him a courtesy visit at the National Assembly complex. Senator Akpabio noted that the plight of manufacturers in Nigeria is well known, especially in the face of the current economic situation in the country.
The fluctuating regime of foreign exchange has affected you seriously. Well, because sometimes some of you are engaged in manufacturing things that the aggregates are not found in Nigeria. You have to bring the finished ones outside in order to couple them in country.
While commending manufacturers in Nigeria, Senator Akpabio pledged the support of the National Assembly to MAN in any way possible. Speaking earlier, President of MAN, Otumba Francis Meshioe, who led the delegation, mentioned that the visit was to discuss the current state of the manufacturing sector and collaborate on identifying areas where legislative support was crucial.
We further hope that the relevant Senate committee will collaborate with MAN to identify critical gaps and areas where Nigeria lacks in readiness for gainful continental trade. Such collaborative efforts will undoubtedly mitigate potential negative impacts, address existing challenges, and provide support to offset the initial liberalization costs.
Some items manufactured by members of the association were shown to the Senate President and other lawmakers present. Still on courtesy visits, Senate President Godswill Akpabio received a delegation of the Saudi Arabian Parliament, during which he called for economic partnership between Nigeria and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This was on Thursday, 15 February 2024. Senator Akpabio noted that Nigeria, with a population of over 250 million, is the major focal point to reach out to the major black race globally.
My colleagues and I just said we should highlight the need for Nigeria to leverage on this opportunity to intensify engagement for mutual benefit, and that is through inviting you to do more investment in Nigeria, whether in the gas sector, whether in the aviation, oil and gas, or any of the ventures, even in the ICT.
In addition, the Senate President also called for collaboration between Saudi Arabia and the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC.
If you assist OPEC, they are assisting Nigeria, and they are stabilizing the world. Because hunger has no boundary. Migration can be stopped when people have employment opportunities and are able to eat. It will also help to secure your country, where all sorts of people will not come.
Other areas the Senate President sought support from Saudi Arabia included the banking sector, counter-terrorism and intelligence sharing. Speaking earlier, leader of the delegation, Abdullah bin Hamad Al Salama, said Saudi Arabia sees Nigeria as the most important black nation, and the time is right for the two countries to be more strategic in their partnership.
We have more than 24 either memo agreement or agreement that on a draft right now to be discussed between both parties, whether it is political or economic or financial or banking or justice or medical or environment or energy with respect to the province of Saudi Arabia as well.
Al Salama called on Nigeria to make investment in the economy friendly for Saudi Arabia in light of the proposed partnership. The meeting ended with exchange of gifts between both parties. Up next is our profile segment. Stay tuned as we present to you our Senator of the Week.
Senator Abdul Fattah Omotayo Buhari is a Nigerian politician born on 12th November 1965 in Ogbomoso, Oyo State, Nigeria. He represents Oyo North Senatorial District in the Senate. Senator Abdul Fattah Omotayo Buhari read business administration at University of Ilorin, earning a Bachelor of Science degree in 1985. He then furthered his education to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he graduated with a Master's in Business Administration in 1993. In 2009, he obtained a PhD in Public Policy from the University of Abuja. Senator Buhari was one time a commissioner for local government and chieftaincy matters in Oyo State. In 2003, he served as a member of the House of Representatives representing Ogbomoso North, Ogbomoso South and Orire federal constituencies. In 2015, 2019 and 2023, he was elected as senator representing Oyo North Senatorial District. Various other positions held by Senator Abdul Fattah Omotayo Buhari in the Senate include Chairman ICT and Cybercrime Committee in the 8th Senate, Vice Chairman Industry Committee in the 8th Senate, Chairman Land Transport Committee in the 9th Senate, Vice Chairman ICT and Cybercrime Committee in the 9th Senate. He currently serves as Chairman Senate Committee on Aviation of the 10th Senate. His legislative interests include children and women development, education and economy.
Thanks for staying with us to the end of this episode of Inside the Senate. I trust you had an enlightening time. If you missed any part of the program or a previous episode, do follow our YouTube channel for details. Thanks for watching and see you next time.